Hey, in the background, we have the new watchdog for news in Lower Paxton Township and also for Central Dauphin School District. He's going to keep track of what the local news service has not been doing lately. And Bill Bostic is going to introduce him to the area. He's harmless, but he knows how to scoop a news story. Bill Bostic's going to explain why. He's going to be your best friend, and he's going to be taking the place of a lot of people that have been working for newspapers in this area. They're no longer working for newspapers because it's just a fact that newspapers have had their problems over the last 15 years. In fact, the Labor Department says that hundreds of newspapers have reduced their employment by more than half since between the years of 2001 and 2016. And that's a statistic that is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And there's not a person in this area that knows that more than our own Bill Bostic. Bill Bostic is a journalist at heart, and he is aware that this area is in big need of a news watchdog. And that's why he's bringing on a true watchdog service that's going to get to the chase, and he's going to look for the stories that our local news services used to grab but are no longer out there fishing for. And rather than saying any more, I'm going to turn this conversation over to Bill. Would you like to say a few things about the new watchdog that you're unleashing here? He's not mean, but he's vicious. He's vicious at the same time.
Well, let me first say, Scott, I got a kick out of the dog, the watchdog. That was very creative. And I think it was a great attention getter. But anyone that knows me knows that I'm not out there looking for someone to tear apart like that dog that was caged up and ready to pounce at any second. When it comes to anything I've done over my 20 plus years in journalism professionally, I think they come away knowing that I like Fox News, trying to be fair and balanced. I may not do it all the time. Some people get mixed up whenever I do editorials, and they take offense to that. But nevertheless, I try and be fair. So, but that was a great attention getter. As far as what I'm doing locally, since 2006, Scott, I've been experimenting with a local journalism type project under the banner of Lingostown Gazette. And I pretty much had walked away from it in 2014, early 2014, because it was my second chance or second opportunity to try and make it go. It wasn't able to sustain itself in any way, shape, or form back in 2014. I'd worked too much, actually became a little ill, and walked away from it. Really never intended to get back into it. But here in 2017, things sort of conspired in the springtime to get back in it. And what happened was, some of the people who tap into this video may be part of what's called Nextdoor Lingostown. There's a service called Nextdoor that allows communities across the country to set up these private social networks. And somehow I was invited to go into that. I set up an account. And what I picked up on sometime this spring was that people are really, really upset, bothered by what was happening at Blue Ridge Country Club on Lingostown Road. The property had been purchased over 5 years ago by Triple Crown Corporation, a local developer based in Lower Paxton. And they were talking to the township about doing a retirement-style housing development. The term that's been thrown around is aging in place, where someone can go and live there, and as they transition through life, maybe they need additional care, they could stay on property and get that care, maybe move to different kinds of housing that would work for them, including apartments. And so that's why I jumped in, because people were interested in something that had a governmental type component, because any development plan has to go through a government. And then if you take a look at Facebook or Twitter from the spring, and you're following Lingostown Gazette, you can see where it's going from there. It's really taken off. The difference this time around, Scott, is that the Patriot News, who for decades and decades and decades has been the prominent news gathering organization, has vacated Lower Paxton Township and most townships and boroughs in our area. They do not send reporters out. They have a business plan that doesn't support that. And so communities, including Lower Paxton, which has almost as many people as the city of Harrisburg, are left without a professional journalist. Outrageous. I mean, outrageous when you think that our government, our United States Constitution, guarantees freedom of the press, right? Right? Yeah, so how do you have freedom of the press, Scott, when there is no press? So that's what I'm attempting to do, is to bring back journalism to our community. In a nutshell, that's what I'm trying to do. How about
well, yeah, and recently there's been some information that you let slip into the Lingostown Gazette online online service that shows up on Facebook
and
about
Twitter.
Twitter that has revealed some stories that you've scooped before the local news agencies. Can you elaborate on those?
Well, I think I'm not so sure I scooped anybody, but when it came to, let's just stay on the topic of Blue Ridge Country Club, and also behind the sheets at Lingostown Road and Colonial Road, there had been talk here in recent months about a proposed shopping plaza. Now, the Patriot News eventually catches up to this kind of stuff. Both Blue Ridge and what's now called the Forest Hills Commons shopping plaza that's planned. What I've done is just do in-depth coverage, to go to all the meetings where it's related, these things have come up, and file reports or videos. And in addition to that, I've held town hall meetings for the public at Springgate in the Village. They've been kind enough to allow me to use that site to hold town hall meetings. I've even held town hall meetings online on Facebook Live, so that we could discuss as a community what's going on. And what I try and do in those settings is to educate people as to what's going on, how the process is working, where we're at in the process in terms of a development plan. And two times, we've been able to bring in developers to talk directly to the people. The people who are proposing these plans actually have showed up at town hall meetings that I've sponsored and interacted with the public, and they explain what they're doing. In one town hall, we actually had experts in land development and transportation show up. So this is the kind of value-added service that a local journalist can provide in today's world, with the help of some technology and all that kind of thing. It's much more in-depth than the Patriot News has ever provided, is really what I'm shooting for. Now, with that said, can I just add one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I lost you. I'm not hearing you, Scott. I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, I gotta unmute myself before anybody can hear me. That would be a good idea. But what I was going to say is that you're saying that you're not scooping it, but clearly you're taking the lead.
Yeah, taking the lead in terms of going beyond just reporting basic facts, trying to educate people. I even have gone out to next door Lingelstown and certainly on Lingelstown Gazette and interacted with people in the comments, trying to educate them as to what the governmental process is. Because here's the thing to understand, especially when it comes to land development, that developers, Triple Crown Corporation just is probably the most prominent land developer we have in Lower Paxton Township. They have property across our township. They have Blue Meadows Farm. They have a variety of commercial properties. They're in the business of developing, of building things that are of use to our community. That's what they do. Just based on the idea of development, they're not evil, they're not mean, they're not money grubbing people just based on the fact that they develop. That's what they do. I write words. Scott, you do something else, and other people work at a retail store. Developers develop, and because that's what they do, they're experts in working with local government and getting their proposals pushed through. And beyond that, they can hire people to help them do that. They can hire experts. Now, on the other side, on the side I'm on and you're on, as a citizen, in many cases, we don't have the expertise to go in there and duke it out in a governmental meeting with a developer. We don't have the expertise and the experience. Also, we don't have the money in most cases to go out and hire experts to defend us, to fight for our point of view. So the role I'm trying to play is, as a journalist, is to help the people on the as citizens, at least be better prepared to deal with these situations and understand how things are evolving. Also, this is where I've gotten into trouble. Sometimes citizens don't understand things. They say things that really are not appropriate. It's just they're saying things the way they feel, their emotions, but it doesn't match up with the governmental process and how things work at the governmental level. I've taken the side. Not the side, but I've defended developers for doing what they do. Let me ask you, Scott, did you build your house yourself from scratch, or did someone else build it?
It was built before I moved in.
What was the name of the developer? Do you know?
I'm not sure what the name of the developer was.
Okay. But a developer or a home builder built it, right?
It was a developer in the area had built these homes out here.
Right. And same with my development here in Lingelstown.
You better keep that watchdog. You better feed that watchdog because he's going to check that story out.
Well, in other words, if developers had not done what they do, Scott, you wouldn't have a home and I wouldn't have a home. And honestly, most people wouldn't have a home. And we wouldn't have the stores we shop in and all that kind of thing. So, I try and keep things balanced. Developers, there are some bad developers, absolutely. Some that are money grubbing, greedy people, and they bully their way into a position. But many of them aren't, and you need to get a balanced approach. So that's the role I'm trying to play, trying to explain exactly what's going on as best I can.
Well,
if that makes any sense.
It absolutely does. So I don't want to keep these short little clips real long because
Okay.
History has it that if you keep them long, you lose interest in the viewing public.
Sure.
And we're going to be posting these along with others in your YouTube stream, and I understand that you'll be promoting them through the Lingelstown Gazette. And I want to thank you for jumping into this. And until next time, do you have anything to say to conclude your this intro to the news watchdog that you're letting loose?
No. I just want to make sure people understand the setup that's being developed here with Lingelstown Gazette, that it's a nonprofit organization, all this kind of stuff. So we'll get into some of that. But really, I'm just doing what journalists have been doing forever, starting, dating back to like Ben Franklin. I mean, he was a journalist in part. He did a Gazette back then. That's one of the reasons I named Lingelstown Gazette, because in honor of good old Ben. So thanks for having me on, Scott. We will promote this on Lingelstown Gazette.
Yes, and thank you for taking the time to show up and introduce. You know what? We need to have a contest to name the watchdog.
Yes, we should. That dog is vicious. I don't want to even get close to that dog. And you were sitting right in front of it, Scott. My gosh.
He was okay. He was okay. I was feeding a couple bones on the bottom there. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, you're smart.